Hi, I'm Giselle, and this is SeeSmiX, episode 55. And yesterday, here in the U.S., we recognized Martin Luther King Jr. Kathy Brooks posted this video.
I have a dream. My 4 little children will one day live in a nation where they will not be judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character.
And in honor of the national holiday, here are a few responses to that video.
I can see an Afro-American speaking, not a woman.
That was funny. I see sort of the same thing, but I also am very inspired by that speech. It's one of those guiding lights in my life.
What would happen to a Martin Luther King type, or could he ever exist in kind of the current atmosphere of how we deal with things nowadays? You know, after he was done making the rounds of all the daytime news shows, and then all the pundits kind of told about his, the time he said he didn't like America when he was 14, and due to his nature, I wonder if he would actually be able to survive such attacks in this current atmosphere. Today is not a great place for those who want to stand for something without cynicism.
But I also think that he was a man that is specific to his time. I agree that they couldn't exist today, but I also think that part of what made them who they are the times. I think that we no longer have iconic figures in terms of history. We make television people and Hollywood icons, but we don't make icons of things that mean things to us or might mean things to us later in history. These were people who stood for things that had never had a voice, and maybe we have too many voices now.
Who are your heroes? Who are the iconic figures of today who represent for you, either on a global scale or regionally, for your country or your continent? Who represents the voices who are providing a clear view of today and a voice to look to tomorrow?
Now that I'm older, I'm not too sure there are any one person that you could fall for, again, 100% like that. So who are my heroes? My heroes are fleeting. I have many heroes, but it wouldn't be 100% of any one person, I don't think, anymore.
So the first thing was, could heroes of yesteryear have survived today? Perhaps they could have. And I think that a lot of the cynicism is in ourselves. If Martin Luther King truly was consistent within himself with his ideals and goals, he could have very easily said, yes, I made a mistake, I did X, Y, or Z, but that isn't what I stand for, and my principles are still critical ideas. Do those facts, when we think about them today, make what he said in his speech any less stirring, any less correct, any less meaningful? And I think that the answer is no.
Yolanda King passed away in the last year, which was his oldest child. And when I started to see this thread, I realized that she didn't essentially live to see her father's dream fulfilled. I was doing a documentary about the year 1968, and so I went to Atlanta to interview Yolanda King for this documentary. I will just never, never forget the emotional reaction I had that day, because when we get to the King Center, we set up our cameras, we're waiting for Miss King to arrive. All of a sudden, the door to the conference room opens, and the door opens, and there she is. And I almost fell apart, because of all of the children, I thought she most resembled him. And we sit down for the next half of an hour, and she tells me her recollections of the day he died, and I'm looking at his face. It's just sad to see her go.
I believe that the world is controlled a lot by individuals, and what we do ourselves is just as important as what someone like Martin Luther King might do in front of a world stage. And so I always like to ask myself, what's my dream? What's your dream that you would like to accomplish in the world? And what are you doing about it today?